Hello and welcome to my latest video. I'd like to thank all of my subscribers for coming back for another episode and encourage any new people if they'd like to click the subscribe button and see what we're getting up to on a regular basis. I put a new video out about once a week on average, sometimes a little bit longer, but more or less 4 in a month. In this particular one we're repairing and renovating a 1963 Corvette Stingray from Corgi. I did quite a few variations on this one as far as I'm aware. This one example that I've got is a particularly kind of play worn, so to speak. It's had a lot of paint chipped off, but the suspension was in good nick and the windscreen not too bad. The pop-up headlights wouldn't work because it had so many bumps to the front. The plastic had deformed and the headlights wouldn't move anymore. So I'm just opening the case up here to start taking it to pieces. For a change, it's got some reasonably good tyres on it, but I think I will swap them out for new ones, as I've got some in this size. Now, just taking the suspension part out there, that all seems to be okay. There's the headlights, the jewels are all in good nick, no chips or any missing. And the interior. I do paint the interior, in fact a couple of times, as you'll see later on as the video progresses. And that's the engine with barely any of the chrome bits left on it. Windscreen's in reasonable nick, few little scrapes and what have you, but at least it's not cracked for a change. And it came out loose, it wasn't riveted in as they sometimes are. The bane of my life in these particular small cars. I'll lay all the bits out now and see what we've got. Next up, having laid out the parts, I'll strip them all off and get a coat of primer on before going on with the top coats of paint. It's already got a coat of aluminium fine on because I'm using a sparklescent paint on it, and the aluminium fine does give the sparklescent paint a better chance to pop. The colour I'm using is called Sparklescent Porn Star Pink, which I've had sitting on my shelf for an absolute age. I bought in for a different project that never came to be, and I thought the 63 Vet absolutely fits in with the notion of Porn Star Pink. On with the body there, it was reasonably straight. I did quite a bit of cleaning up. It wasn't hideous, but there were bits of flash here, there and everywhere. So I probably had about an hour on it with the French files, just cleaning up the little bits and pieces on the casting, just to make it as nice as I could. So I'm building the paint up in reasonably light coats as per usual. And the usual story of flashing off the body with the heat gun. But it's quite a thin paint, it's quite important to put light coats on because if you over reduce you can get a run so easy and it kind of spoils the effect. But such a nice body shape. I don't think there's anything comes close to it in modern cars. They all seem as though they've popped out of a jelly mould to me. There we go, coming closer to the finishing colour now. It's even though it's just the wet paint, the shine on it is messing with the camera, as you can see. It's kind of difficult to draw the balance between good lighting for the camera and good lighting to see what you're doing with the paint. And sometimes you win and sometimes you don't. As you can see, a little bit of the tip of the hot air gun as I'm flashing it off there. But yeah, it's a lovely sheen on it, and it hasn't even got any lacquer on it yet. Look, probably a little bit more of the drying off process than you need to see there, but at this point I don't think I'll edit that out. It gives you the opportunity to talk about what a glorious body shape this really is. There we go. and is that interior that I spoke about. See, it worked okay for the notion of a kind of restored vet, but once I decided on the pink colour, it had to be something else. I've got the chassis in now, and I'm just using Stuart Semple's mirror paint on the bumpers and what little bit of grill there is, and the number plate assembly. Quite a nice paint. It took me a little while to master it because I'm used to acrylics, and this is an enamel with rather slower drying times, which aren't ideal for my kind of impatient style. Once I start, I want to kind of crack on with everything. But just a medium-sized brush, not particularly fine or anything. I find the finer the brush, the more likely I am to get dozens of brush strokes in the thing. So I rely on me doubtful skills just to accomplish the finish that I want. But as I say, this Stuart Semple stuff goes on quite nice, but it does take a bit longer to dry than I'd like. Onto the sills now. Good cover. I found the key with this thing is not to keep returning to it and over brushing it. Get a cover, smooth it out, turn it around and move on. Just catching the ends of the sills there now. Round to the opposite side. And repeat the same old process. And now the rear section. I'm not going to bother painting the suspension parts, because they'll be trapped inside the car and never to be seen again anyway, and they've got quite a nice coat of base white on them, so I'll leave it at that. Broad flat bumpers, some of which is underneath the body anyway, but we'll fill all of that part in. And I think I did this a kind of day or maybe 2 days before I put it all back together again. Give the enamel a bit of a chance to dry off. This is a nice big target, like some of the fiddly little grills you have to do on things sometimes. So, got a whale tail of plastic for me to paint there. Although I've said it before, if you do enjoy watching what I'm doing, I'd be so grateful if you could just click that subscribe button and help the channel grow. There we go, in with a little bit of detail in there. I'm just dropping a little bit of the chrome paint on the tail lights. There's no indicators that I can see on all of the pictures that I looked at. Look as though it's just got 4 tail lights. Whether they were a sequential light on the original, I really don't know. I'm sure somebody will be able to tell me in the comments. But I'm just putting this little bit of chrome on before I put the red on to help the red pop a little bit and stand out from that pink bodywork. Nothing else to do with that on this particular piece until I tackle painting the badge. This, I must admit, was a fiddle. It's a tiny little badge that features 2 crossed flags, a red flag and a checkered flag. But they're really small, and it was time consuming to first of all pick out the edges of the emblem and then go back in and colour the flags. As you can see, I'm having to have a go at it from a few directions here, and I have switched down to a slightly finer brush. It's kind of the most frustrating but ultimately, if it works out, enjoyable parts of restoring these old cars when you've got a little thing like that to do. Another switching positions there. Gives you some sort of sense of the size of the thing when you say that's a pot of Vallejo paint that's holding up the whole back end of the car. Details are starting to grow a little bit now. I think that's all the outside of the badge done.
That's good.
I'm just moving around now and detailing the door handles, I think. Again in that simple chrome paint. I ended up wanting it to look as kind of blingy as befits the pink vivid colour. It's the top of the door handle. And over we go, and I'm just going to dot the tail lights now with one of these micro brushes. Quite handy little things for small round items. You can use them to paint, but for this you can just get enough paint on and dot the centres. And moving back onto some yet more detailing on this badge. I probably spent more time on this badge than I did on the rest of the car combined. It was like, it started off with, oh, shall I just do it silver and leave it? And then it turned into a challenge. I wouldn't exactly say it's a masterclass in detailing, but I was pretty happy with the end result. Okay, well that's just about got that where I wanted to go. So next up, out with the black velvet, which must mean we're putting it back together again. There's that rehashed pink interior that I was talking about, right down to the golf bag in the back. In with the screen first, which didn't come out too bad. I spent a little bit of time on it with a wet and dry and a Solvo. Bit of pledge would have done, but I don't have any. There's again a better shot of that pink interior. I was quite pleased with that. I kind of thought it fitted in with the custom look of the thing. Here's the chrome paint on the little bit of fake engine tops that poke through. In with the pop-up headlights, which I've fettled to get working again properly because, as I say, it had so much impact on the front they were stuck in place. The sills and the suspension unit slipping on. Much the same story with the wheels and tyres. I gave them a bit of a polish. I did cave and put brand new tyres on because it seemed a bit pity to not. I'd got them in stock and I can always use the original ones as spares on something else when it comes along. So as I say, it just seemed a shame to not put nice new boots on it. Clip that into place. And next up, in with a blob of super glue. Couldn't get the usual Poundstock brand, very disappointing. Had to settle for gel. I prefer the liquid if I can get it. Just pop the rivets in now and we'll be all done. One down, one to go. There goes the other one, and she's all together and ready for the turntable. So there we go, this is the end of the project. 1963 Corgi Corvette Stingray. We've treated it to a coat of sparklescent porn star pink, repainted the exterior metal with mirror chrome, polished the hubs, replaced the tyres, given the screen a bit of a dust up, and detailed the interior twice, would you believe? And round she goes. And I thought you'd be disappointed if I didn't include a shot where the little headlights popped up. I think she's one of the prettiest cars that I've done so far. I really like this one. There she goes, even twinkle in her eyes at you. Look at that. Can you believe it? Well, thanks everybody for watching. Hope you've enjoyed the video. Hope you ponder, well, while you're soaking in, the last chance to have a look at this little beauty. Let me tell you about what's coming next. It's the DMC Challenge for March, which is any military vehicle. Not my cup of tea, but I've managed to find something that I thought was suitable and that I could enter into the monthly competition. Here she comes. It's a Land Rover, but it's meant to be a Mersey Tunnel Land Rover, whatever that might be. I've got a couple of these, so I thought this one could be sacrificed under the hacksaw and fettled into something in the way of a bit of militaria. That'll be preview pictures available on the Facebook page on the 18th of March, and then I think the videos are a couple of days after. I'd like to thank you all for watching, and hopefully look forward to seeing you with the next video. I've been Oldboy59, and you guys have been very patient. Thank you and goodbye.